So for this panel, we have Maxine from Draper.
No, it's not here.
She's not here. Maria?
Me.
Yes. And we have Chris from Summer.fi. And we're going to talk about everything DeFi and beyond DeFi.
Okay, so this, thank you, Stacey. So this was supposed to be a panel, but now it's a conversation. And funny enough, I used to work with Chris, and he was my boss. And now I moved to an agency, a marketing agency role, but I was involved a lot of years in DeFi. So this is what we are talking about today. So the first question for you is, Chris. Actually, no. I want you to like present yourself and Summer and what you do.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm CEO and founder of Summer.fi. Just launched recently a DeFi aggregation. Still on here? No, please don't. We'll just. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, we'll just change. That's okay. There's another one next. Okay. So hi. Yeah. So I'm Chris, the CEO of Summer.fi. We've been around since 2019 as a DeFi aggregation platform. Originally a race-to-start app. We spun out of Maker in 2021. We were the original front end for Maker, the Maker protocol. Last couple of weeks, we've just launched a second-generation yield aggregation platform. Hopefully, to be able to take like DeFi beyond, as we're here to talk about, and so on, and to like a whole new group of users in the future, and so on.
Okay. Next question. Is DeFi still a thing? Meaning. Are we, like, the purpose, as you said, of Summer.fi, and I hope for some applications and projects that are arising now, is to onboard the new people. But my impression, from a bit an outsider now, is that, like, DeFi projects are always like talking to the same users, so competing on the same users, and then like looping the same liquidity over and over again. So what's your take on how can we onboard actually new users?
Yeah, so I think we're kind of reaching like close to the cap. There's obviously still new users coming into DeFi and so on, but I think we're still stuck in this mindset where all new DeFi users have to come and use DeFi front ends. So whether they're protocol front ends or different like aggregation front ends and so on. Like that concept I think is coming towards the end now, that we're never going to onboard the next 100 million users into DeFi interfaces using wallets like MetaMask or whatever. Like we just heard them talk about like wallet abstraction a little bit and so on. But I think in reality, DeFi still has a huge future. DeFi is still a thing. But to onboard the next kind of 100 million users into DeFi means integrating the DeFi protocols into the apps and the services users use already today in a kind of Web 2 world. So like fintech apps and savings apps and so on, like allow and expose DeFi to those users in that way.
Okay. So, but do you think we need to so who in the audience is not using DeFi right now? All of you are using DeFi. Okay, we are in a good crowd here.
DeFi talk.
But now imagine you're talking with, I don't know, I don't want to say my mom because it's way too much, but maybe, I don't know, my dad is an engineer, so it's pretty skilled, you know, like, but do you think he can be now, it could be a user, or now or in like 3 years could be a user, a DeFi user?
So right now I think he can be. There's like what we've done with Summer, like we've introduced like email sign up and social sign up. You obviously on-ramps have been around for years, but you can buy crypto within it. You can abstract away you can abstract away the gas fees and so on using L2s. Yeah, that's fine. And so on. So yes, they may be able to use it, but the big issue at the moment is it's still very jargony and so on. Now, hopefully in like a year or two's time, they might be able to use it without even knowing they're using DeFi. So if we can plug in some of the DeFi rails and so on into the existing products they're already using, you can offer them a savings rate maybe of like 7, 8, 9, 10% or whatever that you can comfortably get now in DeFi for fairly low risk strategies and so on. then they may be able to be using it and so on. Or they may use it through other ways of other people investing their money, fund managers and so on, investing their money into DeFi and into liquidity pools that way. So I don't think the users necessarily have to know they're using DeFi in order for them to be using DeFi. But yeah, today it's maybe like 25% better. Like there's probably a 1 in 4 chance your dad would understand how to get in and how to use it. But hopefully in 2 years' time, he'll use it without even realizing he's using it.
Another question. So I'm now skipping the question that I had in mind because it's again challenging, so I will do it later. But now I want to ask you, do you think Ethereum is still the best chain for DeFi? Because we are seeing now a lot of like other L1 and a lot of chains and like DeFi on Solana, even DeFi on Bitcoin. So what do you think, and how do you think it works? Because there is a lot of fragmentation, and as I said before, like the liquidity is still the same, but we are spreading all over chains, and this is the question. And why do you think Ethereum is still the best, if you think so?
So yeah, so I still think Ethereum is like the hub of DeFi. It's where the majority of liquidity and stuff still is. But I also think when we talk about L2s, particularly L2s that are like EVM based and come from Ethereum and so on, like they're still within the Ethereum ecosystem and so on. They're still relying on the underlying like Ethereum blockchain for security and kind of and all the accounting. Ultimately, that's the Ethereum layer is still the source of proof, which allows DeFi to operate on the L2s and so on. I do agree that like there's a lot of kind of fragmentation of liquidity. Not so much users. I think most users, probably a lot of the people in here, would probably have balances across multiple chains at any one time, and so on. But yeah, I think that's the next major challenge, which is kind of abstracting away that chain, having the DeFi protocols and DeFi products effectively available across chains, but without users knowing and needing to be on different chains and so on. So being able to deposit on one chain, let's say Base, if you happen to be on Arbitrum on another app, being able to withdraw on Arbitrum and so on, but just seeing one single balance that's aggregated across all of them. So underneath the hood, like you don't see everything kind of going on, and I think that's the next stage for DeFi ultimately.
Yeah, because I think that also from a marketing point of view, as I am a marketer, it's very difficult to explain user how to like use some kind of project. So for example, I noticed that in the new UI that you launched, it's way simpler than I was used to see when I work at Summer, because you can now connect with the email. There are a lot of like stuff. It's very like easy to. So I think that in general, one of the barriers to onboard is the UX. Okay, so it's the fragmentation, a lot of chains, bad UIs. Devs are way more like focused on how fancy is the smart contract and the thing that I'm building, versus maybe focus a bit more energy on improving actually the UX sometimes. So this is what I noticed. So next question is, DeFi, when I joined 7 years ago, was like the purpose, the goal was to create like a new financial system, open, trustless, free, etc., without middlemen, to onboard the unbanked people, Now, what I see is we are talking about staking, we are talking about, APY, we are talking about making rich people richer. So how do you comment on this? Do you think is like there is still this like idea of DeFi as a world-saving thing, or is something just for people who want to earn money?
Yeah, so I think, even if you want to unbank or bank the unbanked, or whatever it is, the phrase, it feels like such a long time ago we used that. But like there still has to be a reason for them to use it and want to use it and so on. And ultimately, that is going to be like it gives them something. And in most cases, it isn't just giving them a wallet where they can transfer money and so on. Like that is maybe like part of a use case and so on. But there's other ways and things like that now that they can do that in a very easy way without necessarily using blockchain and stuff and so on. But you have to give them something. Like all users use a product because it makes them feel better or makes them feel like they're winning at something. So like, and in the case of here, when it's like yields, like, they can earn on US dollars, they can hold US dollars. If they're going to hold US dollars, they might as well earn on the US dollars. But if they can earn on their like US dollars and USDC or USDT or USDS or whatever, then so can the people with lots of money as well. So I think it is difficult to build a system that is going to like bring the unbanked kind of online without kind of it being kind of taking it over by people with money and people with things. So yeah, it's really tough, but I think we can build products, and I think all the products that are available to them. But again, you talk about the UX, you talk about the availability, the accessibility, and so on. The original visions of trustless and so on. Everyone still needs to use like a user interface and so on. So we haven't like the trustless thing was maybe like a 0.1% of user base that could interact with the blockchain without any user interfaces and so on. So we've still got the user interfaces. You talked about like the UX experience and so on, and getting a little bit better. I still think we've got a long way to go with that. I tried to onboard my best friend onto the product, and he literally was like, what's DeFi and what's APY? So like, DeFi is still full of jargon. It's still full of like terminology that insiders know. We all know like what it means, how to use it, and so on. But you show someone from the outside and say, hey, like, try this for me, and like, I'll pay you back if like you tell me what it's like. And he literally got stuck on the homepage because he was like I don't even know what APY means. So like, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a nice exercise for everyone here or also outside in this conference to try to onboard a friend who is not on chain. It's kind of interesting because like I heard a lot of what is this? You're talking about nothing. Are you sure? You know, like you realize what, and these are educated people. We are not talking again about I don't know my grandma. You know, so we need all of us need to make an effort to try to explain better, build better, like more comprehensible things, etc. Speaking of which, how. I want to learn your idea about how AI is actually could help in this, and because I saw that with Summer you are using AI, and I believe that AI could be a great help in improving not just like the project but also the UX. You know, so I want to know how you use it and what's your idea.
So yeah, we're using AI like keeper agents within the Summer protocol to perform the rebalances. So the Summer protocol, like I said, is a yield aggregation protocol that automatically rebalances user funds to the highest performing protocols within supported markets. The rebalances, they work via AI agents. How that works at the moment is we effectively have 5 AI agents, each operating on a different AI model, plugged into a multisig. And if at least 3 of the agents propose the same rebalancing strategy, then then it will execute doing that. So that's pretty cool because there's a lot of like we could just code it up and we could just put a single like one developer's piece of code in and do that. But instead now we have these individual agents that are kind of like fact checking each other in a way. So and we have seen in the logs and so on that sometimes a single agent or sometimes 2 agents will propose different strategies to the rest. So like that's how we're using like AI to kind of improve the user experience a little bit, particularly for users that are manually rebalancing a lot of the time. You don't have to just rely on a single piece of code anymore. To do that could make a mistake, could move money where it shouldn't be moved to, and so on. It obviously wouldn't make a huge issue if it is moved to somewhere else. It would just lower the yields. But this way, it kind of almost guarantees that it is going to the highest yielding platform up to the risk caps at any one time, and so on. So yeah, I think AI has a big place to play in trying to do it, particularly with AI agents helping users maybe get in and getting onboarded and so on, because we can probably remove away a lot of the steps at that point. But yeah, I still think we're a long way away, but we're making steps every single year, which is the best way.
So we know each other since forever. What do you think has changed in the DeFi space scenario? How did we actually evolve from 2018 when we both joined the space? So it's 7 years now. Do you think, I want your...
Yeah, I mean, the one thing from like 2018 is the original Maker DAI dashboard. I don't know how many of you have ever used the original DAI dashboard at Maker, but it was about 7 or 8 transactions in order to deposit your ETH and mint DAI. Like you had to wrap your ETH, you then had to convert your WETH to PETH, you then had to approve the PETH, you then had to deposit the PETH, and then withdraw the DAI. And it was an absolute kind of nightmare. So we've made obviously huge steps in there. It's now pretty much like maximum of 2 transactions at any one point. To do that, like with multi-call contracts and so on now, you can do so many multiple steps in one transaction in there as well. The other thing though is just like kind of wallet connections and stuff as well. The way wallets are managed within apps has obviously come along a huge way since 2018. And one thing that's kind of gone up and then back down again is obviously the cost of transactions and so on. So in 2018, like, and if gas price was above one Gwei, then like it was an expensive day to trade on Ethereum and so on. And it was like, well, it's like 1.5 Gwei to trade. Like they were like crazy days, like in 2019, 2020 when that started. And then we had COVID, then we had the DeFi summer, and kind of 2020 when yield farming started kicking off, and gas prices hit like 800 or 900 Gwei. And like it was a killer, and we lost a lot of ordinary retail users in Ethereum. Because this was the days before L2s and so on, and transferring a stable coin would cost like $30 or $40 at times to send $10 of DAI. So when we talk about like kind of banking the unbanked or whatever, and bringing those on, like 2020, 2021 was a killer for that age, because it suddenly cost more to send the amount that you were sending and so on. Now with L2s, with Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, the Superchain, and some of the other ones and so on and like that, gas prices are back down to like 3, 4, 5 Gwei most days. At the moment, you can use L2s to transfer like stable coins for less than a cent, and that's been the huge thing. But I mean, in some ways, it's like gone back to the 2018 days where that's how much it cost in the early days when there was only probably a couple of thousand people using maybe Ethereum, or a couple of tens of thousands of people. Now we have millions of people trading on chain, and we've managed to bring the gas prices back down with the scalability of multi-chains and so on.
Last, I think, question. I agree. I mean, I remember when I joined the ETHDenver, it was the previous Aave thing. It was terrible. Like the UI was not even. It's true. Like, but I think that we didn't evolve yet. We haven't yet evolved enough, especially from like a UI perspective. It's still too complex, in my opinion, sometimes to get what you need to do. Also for already on-chain people, imagine from non-on-chain in DeFi. So it's, last question that I want to, I forgot about it now. 1 second. No, okay, I have it. So I recently, especially recently, I'm always hearing like DeFi project, best DeFi project, etc. And sometimes I like look into it, and it's not decentralized. Like, it's not decentralized. So I want to, like, for you and the audience to explain what does actually decentralized finance mean. Because sometimes we, especially normies, like when they hear crypto, they immediately say, okay, it's DeFi. No. So please, as an expert.
That's might be going a bit too far. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Celsius and stuff kind of ruined the image of DeFi a little bit back in like 21 and 22 and so on. But I mean, DeFi is effectively all about kind of non-custodiability and self-custody of your funds. So if you're in control of your funds at all times, meaning you can deposit and you can withdraw whenever you like, that's a decentralized finance app. I'm losing my voice. Yeah, so. And ultimately, it means if there isn't a centralized control behind the scenes as well. Crikey. So yeah, like, so if it's governance controlled, we have multiple DeFi projects that are multi-sigs and so on. They are still like, semi-trusted, but you are trusting the people with the multi-sig to execute maybe the will of the governance and so on. But true decentralized finance is like kind of trustless protocols operating in a decentralized kind of governance model. So token holders voting for everything on chain. You could go all the way where like the products are deployed that are completely immutable, so like liquidity and things like that, and so on. So their markets are fully immutable. You can't even upgrade them and so on. They're fully non-custodial, so you are in control of your assets at all time. The second you give your assets over to somebody else and they are in control of your assets and they can block access to your account, that's where DeFi stops, and so on.
Okay, we have 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Guys, start using DeFi and onboard your friends into Summer.fi or into any DeFi project. Thank you.
Thank you.